So pricing is a product feature, and it requires iteration, just like any other product feature. And if you set pricing once and set it and forget it, then, well, basically you're doing the equivalent of ignoring feedback. That's what I'm saying right now. So what you should be looking at is the value delivered in your products. If you are measuring your value delivery every year, then you have some kind of percentage figure year over year, right? If you're working for those executives that I was talking about, special projects or whatever, where you add this feature because this one customer asked for it, and then nobody cares about it, nobody uses that feature.
Right.
If you're not measuring your feature adoption, also, you're going to have a hard time doing this. But if you're measuring your feature adoption and you see that your features are getting used and you're adding value, your outcomes, right, through your software, then you have a leg to stand on when it comes to price increases year over year. And if you're not growing your revenue and you have like static pricing, I feel as a product manager, there's going to be some uncomfortable conversations with your executives.
Behind closed doors.
Yeah.
I agree with this. So here's the thing though, right? How do you know what value your products are delivering? We can talk about that briefly. So you have features that are in your product. And
Yes.
they're out in
That's
out
a
in the
whole
wild.
different podcast. Right
Yeah, we're not going to deep dive too much here, but you do need to figure out how much value you're delivering per feature over a unit of time, whether it's annually or quarterly, whatever it is. It's contextual, but if you're not sure about measuring those, you're probably not going to change your pricing because nothing's informing that price change.
Well,
Or maybe inflation.
on the, I would say probably a lot of companies do. I say if inflation is a certain percent, then we raise a certain percent. And that's probably the only way they're adding more. Or they just say we're going to sprinkle AI in
Pixie dust.
Yeah, and then pixie dust inflation into it. Anyway, like Daria has a great channel. Like, Tech About Make It Real is a great channel because she talks about the typical SaaS businesses versus AI businesses. Because the AI businesses with tokens, it's not a predictable amount of revenue you're going to bring in because your customers could blow you up with tokens.
Sure.
But the steelman in this category, I'm going to try to make it quick. The steelman in this category is frequent price increases. Like it confuses customers, it confuses sales teams, it bothers customers, especially with AI products. It bothers customers. And then stability in your prices, it builds predictability and trust over time. Like people know what they're going to get, they know how much it costs. You're all reliable, which I feel like that's a kind of a number one point is frequent price changes, and also I would sprinkle in since I'm doing Salt Bae, so I would also like sprinkle in that complex AI related, credit related stuff that changes all the time, like the curses of the world, like the AI vendors that have been changing their models left and right. You know,
that's an example.
It enrages.
It enrages people. It's an example of what the market will bear. They're figuring it out. And we can make more money here.
Right.
So let's just change up the package size and the variations, right?
Yeah. And that versus price stability. I mean, that's really the steelman. I mean, that's really the two things in this category that we're talking about. I will start immediately by saying, like, the market conditions move faster than your annual revenue cycles. So you're not like year to year repricing. Not good enough anymore. Like 90-day window. I would want to be if I had a pricing team that I could convene. Right, myself, CEO, CFO, maybe somebody else in the business. I don't know, marketing, CMO. I don't know who it would be. Yeah. 4 people talk about pricing. I would meet. I would put every 90 days. I just drop a meeting on the calendar. If they didn't do it,
which they won't.
They probably no. Actually, the CMO probably would.
The CMO, if they're looking to squeeze more out of your product, they would.
But exactly, I would expect that they would. If their marketing initiatives are not squeezing, ring in us, more.
Bringing the sponge dry.
That's right. Get more.
The dry sponge.
Get liquid out of that lime. That's what I'm saying right now. I would expect this. So I would expect people are going to ask me. So I'm just going to proactively just put a 90-day review.
The product person is the right person to initiate this, I think,
Yes.
because when you're in this meeting, you have to bring in other factors. Like, who are still active players in the market for your product? Who are the competitors? Did we lose 1 or 2 of them? Did we gain new competitors?
What you just said is every 90 days, let's reevaluate the customer's value perception of our brand versus other brands to see if other brands have matured more in that period, or maybe there's new competitors that emerge on the market in that period and we're unaware because we are all super busy and important and we have yachts to attend to. I don't know.
Right. golf games to play.
Do we have yachts?
We sold ours.
Why would we do such a thing? My kind of takeaway in this category is that static pricing in a dynamic market or an emerging market, right? That's just like a decision to leave money on the table.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely.
So if there's a takeaway in this category, which again, this was a very quick category, the steelman in this category is pretty good. But if you're going to, you need some kind of signal monitoring apparatus. That's why I said like 90 days. It could be different for your company. I don't know what market segment you're in. I would think like your wins and losses by price point, by customer. If all your customers are the same price point, maybe it doesn't matter. You need, at your 90-day review, you need some metrics to go along with this. Discount frequency. If your sales team can give discounts, well, sales kind of needs the ability to
flexibility.
How often are they leveraging that? And then what's the trade-off? What is the steep discount?
What's the upside on all those things?
Feature adoption rates. If you got that sales guy, strategic VP, what are the adoption rates of that thing that they're saying? Oh, customers love this one trick. Like, okay, but I'm going to measure you on this and then fire you on this or whatever every 20 months in my experience. Like a reassessment every 90 days, sitting down with your executive or with your pricing panel, whoever that panel is, right? Again, I had a bunch of C-level executives. Maybe it's not that for you. Maybe your org is really, really big and it's like one director. And then the other thing we didn't talk about is if a particular metric moves, you might want to reevaluate pricing, whatever that metric is. Maybe that metric is a certain number of customer growth above a certain number. If you have a services component to your products and services, if a certain number of hours or customers on board or whatever, basically what I'm saying is if you're taxing your services component of your business a lot, you might want to raise your prices significantly to be like, hey, because I'm providing my services and I'm super stretched thin, I want less customers. So you need to make it more expensive on purpose.
Yeah, he talked about if the customer base grows, it also applies the other way, right? You have attrition, and you might want to reconsider maybe your price is too high, or you could just do trials, promotions, whatever else. The point I want to make here is the apparatus that you mentioned that monitors all of these different factors, the radar or radars, the monitoring happens all the time. That's not a 3-monthly thing where you get together and say, what happened in the last 3 months? The monitoring happens all the time. But the price adjustments don't happen all the time.
Sure.
So maybe quarterly, whatever cadence is right for you, have the meeting there, but you're bringing in all of that knowledge of what's changed into that meeting.
So we covered the case for the PM to own pricing, strategy, execution, collaboration with the other departments and whatnot. Yep. We gave you a system for tracking these kinds of things, and let us know what you think about the system, or with all this in place, if it still is not enough to convince executives and whatnot to involve you. The main crux of this podcast, we talked about that pricing is product strategy. And yeah, there might be a skill gap there. Maybe that's a hiring problem. Maybe that's a learning problem. Maybe that's a organizational problem.
These can be overcome.
I feel all of them can be overcome. All these kind of boundaries, you can knock them all down. And then once you knock them all down, you need continuous monitoring and continuous kind of working together to reassess and keep yourself updated and on the edge of the market. This is an interesting one for me because I know a lot of product managers out there are not dealing with pricing.
Right.
You should be dealing with pricing. I think that was my takeaway out of this podcast. And maybe we've given you some tactics to kind of get your foot in the door, because once your foot is in the door, much like that VP of strategic operations and special kids' birthday parties or whatever I was talking about, you can stay there a while. Stretch out. Lay on the couch, put your feet up.
That's right. And despite all of those things, if you still don't get any traction or headway, keep that resume updated.
Oh, I thought you were going to say like and subscribe to the podcast.
Then update your resume.
You definitely should do both of those things.
Yes.
In whatever order you want.